Hey folks, this is Phil Swift here, and thank you for checking out today's episode, which is part two of Destreza Saber. Once again, if you haven't seen part one, we're just documenting all the learning approaches that I'm taking in order to teach myself Destreza Saber. If you don't have the book, I definitely recommend getting it, though we have scans of the original on our Destreza group, Destreza Saber. Link is posted below. So, but definitely get your hands on this book for if you want an English translation version. This will definitely help you throughout this series. But anyways, if you don't have the book, that's fine. Feel free to join us on the group, and we'll kind of go through Destreza Saber together as a study group. Let's say during this COVID crisis, no one can really go out and do things. So I've taken this time to read through all the books that I need to read and teach myself something new, right? So this is something you could teach yourself at home. If you follow along with me, check out the first video covering all of the earlier concepts. There's always going to be mistakes to be made, but what's most important is being able to identify your mistakes and correct them immediately so that you start forming good habits. One of the biggest errors that I definitely should mention was the slip and the cross step. I actually, if you notice on the first video, I was more back weighted during my slip and during my cross step, and back weighted after I finished my steps. The thing is, the key to the slip and the cross step is you gotta shift your weight towards your left leg if you're right-handed, so that during your slip you have predominantly all your weight on your left leg, so that you could slip your back foot easier. And it helps if you when you do the slip or the cross step to actually have your right foot, you got to plant the ball of your toes or your ball of your foot, but not your heel. So keep your heel raised, and that will help you with your weight distribution. That will keep all of your weight on your left foot there. So when when your weight's on your back foot or your left foot, it allows you to slip your front foot a lot easier. But at the same time, you'll be able to have the balance you need to do that. Cross stepping is the same, except when you're cross stepping, you're sort of placing all of your weight on the ball of your foot, on your right foot. So you want to put all of your weight on the ball of your foot on your right foot, so that you could take your left foot and pass it ahead of your right foot. And then once you do that, you want to shift all the weight over to your left foot, and that will keep yourself balanced. Okay, so that's the slip and the cross step. Another mistake that I saw in the first video was that when I was doing the sequence, all the positions, my head was bopping up and down. So you want to make sure you engage your knees and keep your knees bent. That will help you be more cautious of your head bopping up and down. And especially during the equilibrium part, that part is very hard to do, which is the shifting of weight from after your lunge to your recovery to kind of keep your head level. So just keep in mind for that part there, and try to engage in your knees. Next up is footwork. I like to go through all four general directions. Moving forwards, you're just pushing off your back foot, and then you want to land. Then you want to move your right foot and land on your heel and then toe. And it's just really a small step. You don't want to make a big step. Just keep it small. Just one foot in front of your current stance is how far you want to make that first step. Moving backwards, I like to point my toes first. So my back foot will reach out with my toes, kind of feel the floor, see if it's unleveled, or see if I'm going to hit a wall. Or if you're in Venice, making sure that you don't fall off the street there into the canals. So I like to reach with my toe first, and then plant my heel, and then bring my front foot back into position. Now, lateral movements, moving side to side. So going left, I like to use my left foot I'll start with my heel and then toe, and then bring my right foot into position or stance there. Now, moving towards the right, I like to use my right foot first. Now, this is sort of opposite. I like to land on my ball of my foot first, and then the heel, and then bring my left foot back to position. Okay, so that's just the basic 4 directional footwork. Now we're gonna make a little drill out of this, and I call it the footwork square drill. You're just going to do your footwork facing in one direction in a square. So starting towards the right, you'll make a couple steps to the right, then backwards, then towards the left, and then forward. That covers all 4 directions into one drill for you. So you want to start slow, then you want to speed it up, then you want to go clockwise, counterclockwise, switch it up. And then if you like, I like to work on my opposite side, so I'll switch my stance so that my left foot is now my front foot, and I'll work on the square footwork drill that way. So the next section is the 3 planes that divide the body. Jaime likes to divide the body up into essentially 3 sections. So you have your head, which is your superior plane. You have your body arm weapon, which is the medium plane, and then you have the inferior plane, which is the legs. And all the guards basically is designed to protect those 3 planes. Jaime has 9 guards, which is quite interesting, and essentially all the guards that protects your outside will be in a odd number, and all the guards that protect your inside will be an even number. The first guard, the key points of the first guard is the hilt is towards the right side of the face. Pretty much the hilt is at the height of the ear. You want to keep your arm bent, elbow at the height of the right nipple. Your 7th or 6th grade, which is pretty much near the center of your sword, is right down the center line. This guard defends the face and the shoulders. The second guard is just the opposite of 1. So you want to keep your hilt raised to the height of your ear. And you want your 6th and 7th grade to be down the center line, and this protects your left side face and shoulders. For the third guard, you want your elbows to be pretty much fixed to your body, about 2 inches away. Saber is in obtuse. Pretty much the hilt is at the height of the right hip, relatively. The point is near head level. Guard 4 is pretty much the opposite of guard 3. This protects your inside. So guard 5, the point of the saber drops to the ground. The hilt is just above the hip by 2 inches. Guard 6 will be the opposite of 5. This protects any incoming attacks towards the inside of your inferior plane, which is your legs. For guard 7, the hilt is pretty much carried to the height of the right shoulder. Now in the illustration, it shows that the hilt is just slightly above the shoulder. So I guess either way works if you're following the illustration or if you're following the words. Now, the one thing you want to do is have the edge of your sword pointed towards your outside, because that's where it's probably going to be used to protect, is from the outside threat. Now you could technically use this guard to protect your inside too, as Rawworth kind of would say. Now you just, if you want to use this guard to protect any cuts coming in towards the inside, you need to just turn your edge towards that inside threat more, instead of having the edge towards the outside. For guard 8, now guard 8, I like to do it according to what it looks like in the book. Some people like to do it like the Italian high prime, which works to each their own. I just like to follow the book because I'm trying to stay closer towards the book. So the hilt is carried to the height of the head, which is in front, and the point is at the height of the nipple, and it's about 2 feet away from the body. Now, Jaime says that this is a universal parry, so it should be able to parry both sides, inside or outside on the superior plane. Guard 9 is just the opposite of guard 8. So there is no mention of 2 feet away from the body, but it is a universal parry. So it could also be used to parry both on the inside and on the outside. If you have a look at how the planes are divided and all the guards that are in place to protect those planes, Jaime doesn't have cuts like Roworth, where it's just, your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Unfortunately, he doesn't have his cuts sort of organized that way. Instead, he has his cuts organized towards where the guards are. So cut 1 would be pretty much towards guard 1. So it's, instead of starting on your right to your left, you would start with the Reves. So you'll start from cutting left to right. So cut 1 is pretty much at the top here towards the head, then 2, and then 3, and then 4, and vice versa. So I like to start my cutting drills with the full Tajo and Reves, or big forehand cut and big backhand cuts. The big forehand cuts and big backhand cuts to all 3 planes, but with an additional lunge. I like to load my cut by going into guard 8 and 9, 8 or 9 first, and then during the natural movement, which is the downward movement of the cut, that's when I start my lunge. As the sword is starting to go downwards, then I'll execute the lunge. So I'll prep the cut first, and then as the cut is descending, that's when I lunge. This one is just pretty straightforward. You're just going to make smaller smaller backhand and smaller forehand cuts with a lunge. I like to start my disengage first, and then as soon as I finish my disengage and I go for the cut, that's when I'll lunge. So lastly, for the cutting drill, we have the Tajo and Reves Mayor, which is the big forehand and big backhand cuts with a slip and then a lunge. While you're getting into your slip, it is very important to start to load your cut, or basically get into your guard 8 or guard 9 when you slip, so that you're well protected in your superior plane. And then as the cut starts to descend, that's when you start your lunge. Now do this for all the cuts to the planes. So lastly, we have the Tajo and Reves Menor with the slip and lunge, which is the small forehand cut and small backhand cut with a slip and the lunge. Now I like to just load my cut with an inside or outside guard when I'm doing this drill here. So when you take a slip backwards, just go into an inside or outside guard when you go for your cuts there. So thank you for watching episode 2. There is definitely more to come. I wanted to cover a few more things, but then this episode would be a bit too long. I'm going to keep it for the next episode, so feel free to stay tuned, and please, if you want to jump in on the study group, we have relatively a good amount of people in the group right now. Some of them are very knowledgeable in Destreza, and we also have the author of this book has jumped in our group as well, so he's helping us out quite a lot. And so if you want to jump in on the fun, feel free to join our study group. That is Destreza Saber on Facebook. Check it out, subscribe. Thank you guys, stay safe. I know it's very tough with the crisis that's happening right now, but just do everybody a favor, stay home, work on some things like Destreza Saber, and thanks for watching. Have a good one.